My biggest thing and advice is don't be afraid to ask questions. Most horsemen, whether they're on our board or anybody else, are very helpful.
Bring them in on the rail, let it jog, please. On the rail, let it jog.
All right. So today's guest is a father and daughter duo. And we're super excited to be talking to them in the midst of the American Quarter Horse Congress getting ready to kick off in what I think is like 8 days now. So if you two would like to introduce yourselves, you can go ahead and do that.
My name is Brent Maxwell. I live in West Mansfield, Ohio. I'm a professional horse trainer, I'm a professional horseman, and an AAQHC and NSBH.
Well, my name is Ellexxah Maxwell. I'm Brent's daughter. I've shown horses since I was 4 years old. I got into the industry because of their involvement. It's also been kind of the industry I not only grew up in, but that I work in now. I work for Ohio Quarter Horse during the Congress time and my own business as well. And then I own my own horses on the side.
And what are your roles specifically with Congress for each one of you?
I'm a past president of the Ohio Quarter Horse Association, which makes me an honorary director. I'm also on the executive committee, so I'm still involved very much with the Congress. Like all other directors on the board, we are all part planning. That takes years longer. As any other director, I'm involved with any part of making the patterns to judge selection and to bringing new ideas, new classes that we offer to Congress for the future.
Very cool.
I work for Ohio Quarter Horse during the month of, from the end of August to just last week in September. I work with doing the entry process. So we fix any problems coming in with the online entries, adding classes in that maybe somebody missed, making sure everybody's stalled where they're supposed to be. We just finished up stall assignments last week. So it's also my job to input the stall assignments into the system and handle anything that really has to do with the entry process of the Congress. And then this year I'm representing Ohio as their Ohio Queen for the Queen's Contest at the Congress. So it's kind of been a new role for me to take on. It's been really, really exciting, and I've got to do a lot of different things this year. But it's kind of interesting to, see this aspect of the Congress that my dad has. Obviously, I get to be around and see that a lot, and then to also be able to see it from my side. It just kind of gives you a real eye-opening into how much process and planning that the Congress takes.
So I do have one question on Ellexxah. You said that you run your own business. Can you go into a little bit of detail about that?
Yeah, so I have a professional banding business. Like a lot of amateurs, that's the easiest way for me to make money and travel at the same time. I've done some odd jobs this year as well. I've worked for show management at a couple of our Ohio shows, and that's been really, really interesting. But most of the time I band horses on the evenings that I'm not doing anything. It makes for some late nights, but it's good money, and I have had a lot of really, really good success with people giving me the opportunity to help them make their show experience a little easier.
Cool. I couldn't imagine banding and braiding and showing all in the same weekend. I don't miss any of that part of showing, is the banding and braiding process. But
it
awesome.
Takes forever.
Oh yeah. I will pay somebody every time to do my horse's mane and tail because it just is so much work, but it looks so good. So you did touch on that you were the Ohio Quarter Horse Queen. Can you tell us what it's been like and what all you'll be doing while you're at Congress and fulfilling that role?
So it's been a really, really cool experience. As an AQHYA past director, I got to hand out awards at the World Show for a couple times, but not in the capacity that you get to hand out awards as queen. It's really cool to see all the little girls that want to be you and, oh, can I get a picture with the queen, or, want to wear your crown. So it's really cute on that aspect. But I think my favorite part from the whole journey of this year was being able to go out to the youth world, which I'd not been out since I was out of youth. So it was kind of nostalgic in a way, but it's also really cool because when you're down at the awards table there in the middle of the arena, we have the actual results. So we know who's winning the class. And I kind of made it my job to, if I knew who the people were, or I try to pick out their parents and their trainers and kind of be able to watch their reaction as it got down to like that last 2 or 3. And I think that was what was really, really special to watch and just get to experience it. You kind of felt like you experienced a moment with maybe somebody you didn't even know. But it's been really nice because I've gotten to travel quite a bit and be able to hopefully represent Ohio to the best of my ability. But at the Congress, I will be doing, starting the 5th, we have our orientation stuff. So there's that we have to do. And then there's a 3-day span where we do everything from our interviews. We'll go and do our test one morning. And then we'll also one day go out and give our thank you cards that we have. Every Queen contestant has about close to 450 to 500 thank you cards made, which we'll personally sign and hand out to all the vendors at the Congress. And then the last day we have the Queen's horsemanship, and then we have the final presentation during the intermission of the freestyle reining.
Awesome. That'll be exciting. I enjoyed watching that last
It's a lot in one day.
It's like, it sounds like you're going to be very, very, very busy this year.
Extremely.
It looks like you've had a great NSBA World Show experience, and you had your ranch horse and turned it into kind of an all-arounder. Can you tell us about that experience and what made you decide to like go after those other events?
Yeah, so his name is Carl. We call him, if you follow me on Facebook or form of social media, you know, we call him Carl the Wonder Pony because of all of the things that he does. It started as kind of, I didn't end up taking my all-around horse to one show, and for anyone that knows me at all knows that I do not do while sitting still. I have to be doing something. So I wasn't okay with just showing one class at the horse show. So as a joke, I was like, oh, let's show the horsemanship, you know? And then he turned it out to be kind of good at it. So the following year we decided, well, you know what, let's do the horsemanship and the equitation at the NSBA World because he's a Palomino, so he's color eligible for the color classes. And we went that year. I think I'd showed him in the horsemanship maybe twice, maybe once in the eq. And he was second in the equitation and third in the horsemanship behind, the great Michelle Fornes and Deanna Green. So that was like an accomplishment itself. So then the following year I was like, well, you know what, let's do something even more crazy. Let's have the showmanship on, at the time, the 16-year-old ex-derby horse that now does only the ranch riding. I never showed him in the showmanship, and I decided to make our maiden voyage at the NSBA World, and he ended up 5th. So then I think Carl hates the NSBA World simply because that is the horse show that he has to do everything at. The last day we literally went from the eq. The very next class was the ranch riding, and then after that was the ranch trail. So it was a very long day for him, but it was kind of something that we did almost just to kind of test him and see if he would, because he's very busybodied, but it turned out into something that he really enjoys and is really, really good at.
That's awesome.
I love him. Yeah, I love him. All his pictures that you put online are so cute. I'm such a fan.
So we kind of touched base on some of the roles that you guys will be doing in regards to the Congress this year. Can you kind of like touch base on all of the work that goes into the planning aspect of Congress? Maybe Brent, this would be a great question for you. Just like, are you guys planning all year, or how does your yearly plan go? And then how does prepping each day for Congress go for you guys?
Yeah, definitely the planning process is year-round and already started for next year's Congress before we even get this one going. So the judge selection process for next already started in phase 1. Then kind of typically once we get through the Congress, you go back with your vid programs and things like that. So it's definitely a year-round project. Always constantly monitoring the industry and needs there as well. Like this year, we have level 2 classes in the Western riding and the trail. So those are some changes. So, just a constant planning process and keeping up with everything. Scott Myers is our CEO, of course, and he's on top of all that with the staff that we have. It's definitely a process, a continuing process. and some of the projects that we get into might take a couple of years to get developed, just so that when we do them, have most of all the bugs out, how that goes, and you start new things. So it's definitely a process.
Brent, do you also participate in the area of being a trainer during Congress, or you're strictly just in the administration side there?
Well, when I was president, I was not allowed to compete. I was allowed to have horses there, and my clients could show, but I was not allowed to compete actually and partake in judge selection process as well. So I will be competing. So now that I'm president, I will have horses there. We got 17 horses we're taking this year, so we'll be able to compete. But I'm always available. I'm kind of a familiar face among the directors and the staff there as well, for people that have questions or anything like that. So we try to, make everybody's experience the best it can be. Try to help with ticket sales for the special events. But the chairman, mainly they're elected as daily meetings, constantly monitor the daily things that happen at the Congress and make sure things are running smoothly and with any changes that come up. But definitely still keeping busy, active, and helping with the association. Anybody listening, if you are looking for a director, most of us have get a jacket through the Horse Congress. They don't have a name badge on it, so be sure to look for us if you have any questions or find me personally to do that. It's an ongoing process that we need to on top of through.
And I assume it takes like all year long to plan the Congress, or do you guys even start like in the year, like even a year and a half out, or really when does the start? So for the 2022 Congress, when did you guys start planning this show?
Well, like I said, usually going in like this year and into the 22 Congress for 2023 already, by going ahead and go through the first stage of the judges selection process. So that stage has already started. And there's Scott has a plan that we go through. You have to get vendors and turners and everything else that, part of the Congress. All the dirt gets hauled in, all of the fence that needs put up, extra stalling. There's many fences. They've been in since the 1st of September, putting the arena walls up in the Celeste Center, East Ohio, which I'm president of, has a show there. The second weekend in September, they already had the Coliseum done, put in, everything grew there. They were still in the process of getting all the stalls set up and all the barns and arenas. So definitely it is a year-to-year process, and it's got a pretty good pattern to be handled. Since COVID, off, and obviously expenses have changed. There had to be changes, and some of the suppliers and things that we had before just weren't available. The companies went out of business, and things like that. So there's been some major changes since that. Just to make sure there happens. We're ahead of schedule this year and getting things prepared and ready, and entries are up. It's going to be a great year, but like you said, you definitely have to stay on top of it and plan from year to year.
I do have one question for Alexa real quick, and then I'll let Liz get back to her question. But what is planning the stalls like for you?
Oh, that's a good question.
I can't even imagine. You and I think Nicole Barnes does the stalls for NSBA, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm like, both of you, that's a huge job.
So it's really cool because Scott was there. We had a lot of directors come in, or executive board members come in, and they know kind of where they were stalled. We keep track of who was stalled where in the previous year, and we try to accommodate those people back into the stalls that they were in the previous year and that they've requested. But ultimately, it's like playing giant Tetris of trying to get people in where they fit, where they want to be. Close to people they do, far away from people they don't. It is a huge job that I'm glad that my only part in doing the stall assignments is putting in the numbers that they give me in the computer, because I could not imagine the amount of pressure and just hard thought that goes into putting everybody in the right spots and making sure that everybody's happy. And it's a job that they do very, very well. And we always try to make accommodations if, something got messed up through the system, or, maybe somebody put in they wanted a different barn. We always try to make things better for our exhibitors and try to make it overall a smooth process.
Gotcha. It sounds like a very well-oiled machine.
It is, yeah.
I can only imagine trying to find places to put like 5,000 to 6,000 entries of people and all the horses that come through there. That would be tough. I would not want that job.
Yeah, in the stalling situation, we have phases where the reining comes in early and then the reining moves out. So that whole Adequan bar needs to be cleaned out before the all around and the rest of the horse show can come in. There's also ranch riding horses that are early now in the schedule. Those that aren't staying for the rest of the horse show will be in that barn. Some horse trainers have to struggle because they can use their stalls to bring their ranch riders in, but they can't bring the rest of their stock in. So there'll be a process where once the reining is done, those horses leave. There's just a short day turnover to get all those stalls cleaned out and ready for new people to come in. So that involves the Wayne Davis bedding, everybody else getting the bedding in. Those people can't set up their stall fronts. So the Adequan barn gets very busy after the reining starts to move out. And then when the contesting horses come in, they're not pre-assigned stalls as well. So then there's organization there is to find empty stalls for them to get into their areas as well. So it's definitely constantly a moving game, and to keep a flow of the horses going through so that the process is easy for everybody, but it is a lot of work, and the team has to stay on top of that.
That sounds just so much planning.
I know, like I don't even
know where you go with that. That's just a lot.
Great.
So with all the planning that you guys are doing, and then Congress coming back last year, and now we're having, after the COVID break, we had Congress last year, and then coming into 2022, what are you guys most excited about for this year? Is there anything that like sticks out to you that you're just super excited to be happening?
Once we took a break, I think everybody was happy just to get back into the horse show scene again. And we were pretty fortunate in Ohio as far as just weekend horse shows, things kind of kept moving. But for the major event like the Congress, last year was we added some barn parties. We had an open party there behind the vendor area, and then we had different barn parties in each one. So we're looking at stepping those up against this year, trying to be a little bit more exhibitor friendly. And coming into this year, horse stalls and entries look to be showing growth again. And, we're limited on space there at the fairgrounds. So that's why we have the stall turnover to make that all work, to try to give everybody the best stalling. But it's been a process for sure, getting everything back and working with the vendors and the exhibitors as well. It's been a group effort to make sure that we got back to the game we were playing before, and to the level that we were before. And I think everybody will see the new improvements and things that are going on. We added the L2 classes this year for the trail and Western riding. So that's a new thing for us. And we're looking into some other ideas for the future. And like I said, we'll just have to implement them in the process and see where they might fit into the schedule.
Perfect. That's exciting.
Are your numbers and numbers and entries, stalls and entries, are those numbers what they were pre-pandemic now?
They are closer to what they were pre-pandemic. And actually, I can't give you the final number because I'm not sure since the last phase of entries, and that's just all I'm going to say about that. But
Sure.
We had that change in entries there. Prior to that, we were up in entries from last year. In comparison to pre-COVID, it was about the same. So, the interest is still there in the Congress. And I think we see, I got asked this question a lot, is, what draws people to the Congress? And there's a lot of people, you'd be surprised, that don't go to other AQHA shows. They might go to one, but they take vacation, they come spend the whole time at the Congress and compete. So I think that's the draw of it that, keeps it big. Those novice classes are huge. And we see a lot of different levels of exhibitors there, and kind of fun to see some of those exhibitors come and enjoy it and come back and see their growth as they come. But definitely things are still growing. And we're trying to manage those growing pains with the expo center too, with new buildings and things like that. So when you're talking about future planning for the Congress, it's not about your day-to-day events. It's looking at new barns and new stalling areas and improvements like that. So those things can take years to get done when you're dealing with cities and politicians.
So as a director, what is your typical day like going through Congress? Like, just give us a rundown of a day.
At the Congress, I'll do my duties as a trainer right now. So mainly everything is set up like we have a team that helps with move in. So you have people that meet you at the specific barns to help eliminate parking problems and try to keep things moving on. So there's a team of directors that are assigned dates and times to help with that. And then once that progresses, most of the horse trainers, we have a professional horseman committee. They will monitor the arenas and trafficking. If there's too much ponying, we'll send them out to the track area out behind by the Lauschie building by the sale barn, and just the condition of the arenas. And again, we're there to assist any type of exhibitors. So while I'm doing my job as a trainer, I'm also assisting like other directors through the process at OQHA. And then, like I said, for the ticketed events like the bull riding and the freestyle reining, we will help with ticket sales there. We'll scan tickets and help get people seated. So it's definitely a group effort and a lot of work. We have a small staff in the Ohio office that works permanently on a daily basis. But then at the Congress, we're upwards of 150 employees. So that just kind of tells you the change of what it takes to just go into the Congress and get moving.
Wow.
What about you, Alexa? What's your daily schedule like, or going to be this year?
So I'll be working at Dallas for the first part of the Congress, and also having some banding horses there as well. And then from the 5th to the 8th will be the Queen's competition. So that'll be what I do during that part of time. And then depending on the outcome of that, I could just be queening all day, or I'll end up working some more at rods and banding some more horses. So that, because I'm not showing this year, so it's a very slow year for me. I say it that way,
but
slow.
Yeah.
Holy moly.
Yeah. Wow. I need some of that energy of yours, that's for sure.
I know, that's what I'm thinking.
What is something that you would like people to know or appreciate about all the staff of Ohio Quarter Horse, or just any of the staff or the show to make it function? What is something that you think people should just know to help, just appreciate everything that's being offered for them?
Well, like I said earlier, the daily tasks that get done are done with a very small staff, and they're very dedicated. Some of them are long-term employees. They put in a lot of hours, a lot of time. They care just about about the Congress just as much as we do. And it's a team effort. I mean, they work really, really well together, and they do a lot. I mean, the Congress wouldn't happen without the staff that we have. And then, the fun is getting to bring in the rest of the employees at the Congress, and there's a lot of old faces there that you've seen year after year, but then there's a turnover of new faces and things like that to come in. So I know the days get long, and sometimes people get a little grumpy, but I just like people to appreciate the fact that the amount of work that those people put in on a daily basis, primarily the staff. The permanent staff, but then again, the folks that are there giving their time and helping out with the Congress too, they all care about it and are trying to do their best to help everybody and get the best experience that they can. So if everybody could just, tell everybody, you see somebody, tell them what a good job they're doing, and it makes a difference.
I could imagine that would be a nice compliment after a long day.
I feel like no matter what, kindness goes a long ways, always, in any situation. And I think we forget that all too often anymore. You did touch on what the numbers and stalls and everything were like from the pandemic, but have you had any significant changes to the events you said you implemented some parties and whatnot. What about facility improvements since the pandemic? What's the ramp up been like since everything was shut down in 2020?
Just general cleanup. The expo center itself, during 2020 with city funds, Also was struggling with help. I mean, anybody in any type of industry involving employees right now knows how hard it is to get help. So there were a lot of efforts made to get things back up to running condition and get the fairgrounds looking new again. There's constantly improvements, and the Expo Center works really good with us in making those improvements. So, any suggestions? Dr. Myers works with the Expo Center very well and keep everything up and running smoothly. There are still some old buildings there and whatnot, but I think between them and the efforts of the Expo Center and some funding with OQHA and the Congress, you've seen a lot of improvements over the years, and that's something that we continue to look into as well.
I definitely loved being in the Adequan last year. That was I know everyone kind of complains that it's far away, but I actually like being back in that corner. It's just nice to be back there.
There's definitely different facets. Everybody has their own little areas that they like. Some like being down in the swine barn and to be near the Denny Hales Arena down in that area. And there's just it's vast, so there are some different areas. Although the NSBA, I had to walk clear to the trail pen from the furthest far ends of the earth, so I can relate to some of those distances. But all in all, we get to show our horses, and when you get to walk that far, you get to see some of the other things along the way too. So take in the sights, I guess.
Oh yeah. That was actually one of the things I like just enjoying. Like after a ride, I would just literally walk my horse wherever just to like get out and about and let him see things. I was probably like, that was just a downtime thing to enjoy being there. So we were talking about the pandemic a little bit, and we keep kind of bringing it up, but what was it like in 2020 when you guys had to cancel Congress? How did you guys overcome that? And then going into 2021, what was the thought in everyone's mind? Were you nervous that you would have to cancel last year as well? Or was it kind of like we knew it was going to be able to happen? Or how did you guys plan 2021?
Well, to go back to 2020, when we're elected as president, we get a 2-year term, and then you have to step down for a year if you want to rerun or two. But the 2020 was my second year, a COVID year, so we did get to cancel the Congress. But we were planning on having the Congress right up until the day that we canceled. We just kept pushing forward, ordering jackets and stuff, trying to go with different so that they're ordered, but they don't have the year on them. So if things, just had to plan ahead in case it was canceled. With the induction of COVID, of course, made us aware. And then there were so many changes with the spread and whether they're going to allow you to have an event and then have restrictions and whatnot. And, some of those concerns addressed too. If there's COVID cases that come up and we did have the Congress, then they would shut the Congress down. So there's financial losses there for not only us, but exhibitors and vendors. So we had to look at every aspect from not only our point of view, but from the exhibitors, the vendors, anybody who had anything involved with the Congress. So like I said, we waited until the last minute to kind of see where the trends were working as far as cancellations and what they might allow us to do before we canceled. And then once we did, we just set up and started working for next year. For 2021. And, fortunately, the restrictions started to lighten up and change. And, we were hopeful that we would be able to get to push forward. So we didn't treat it like any other year. We treated it like we're going to have a Congress this year. We're going to do everything to make it happen because there are just so many moving and working parts that if you let any of those slack, it's hard to make them up and make everything happen on time. Like say there's a schedule that things need to happen concurrently in order to make the whole horse show happen the way it does. So we just, move forward and, we're going to have a Congress this year and any changes that come along, we would adapt. But the team with being led by Dr. Myers just, kept pushing forward and, just move forward.
It would be hard, I feel like, having all of those plans already and then having like that day decide that, it's a no-go. That would just be a little soul crushing, I feel like.
Yeah, it was definitely not an easy decision to make. And like I said, we we rode it as long as we could and had all the oars in the water, but we ran ashore with all the restrictions. So, like I say, it was best for everybody. Just taking everybody in consideration, it was the best decision and had to be made.
So, on that note, were you guys ever concerned with the show in Ocala, the fall championship show? I know last year was the first year, and then we've all heard that it's been canceled this year. Do you think it affected anything last year at all?
Well, I'd be lying if I said we weren't concerned when it started anytime. The Roberts family has built, one of the most beautiful equine facilities in the world. And unfortunately, our industry isn't big enough to handle competing events. So I think we're much better together as two different entities to try to help exhibitors out. But it really did not affect us last year. We were down slightly in some of the pleasure stuff, and that was to be expected with some of the monies and things being offered down there. And some of the horse trainers and talking to them, clients, it's a beautiful facility. It was like a destination horse show, if you will. Some people go out to Arizona once. They may never go again, but they go once or they love it and go back. So I felt like it was a destination place. Like I say, it's a beautiful facility with that. But we were still successful with the Congress economically, and we're able to meet our goals there. So this year, like I say, we were back on track prior to the cancellation of the event, which we hated to hear. Like to see anything like that happen to anybody in the industry. But then we tried to accommodate the exhibitors that had made plans down there because our entry deadline had come to a close. So the executive committee made a decision to extend that deadline to try to allow any of those people that found themselves in that position the opportunity to still come to the Congress and compete at an event during that same time period.
Did you see an uptick in entries then?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So what we were already above, as we neared our deadline, we did a new process this year of entering through the horse show tracker. So that was something new this year. Of course, it had some changes in it, and there's always little glitches anytime you deal with technology. So I think we got those all worked out. And Ellexxah saw a lot of those on her end on the entry side of it. But, we worked past that. And, at that point, when our entry deadline was closing, we were up from last year. And then we did see an influx afterwards, which to be expected with entries from the other horse. It wasn't huge, but it definitely makes a difference in entries and stalling. The stalling in the past last year, was able to accommodate everybody in all of the permanent structures, whereas this year we'll probably be pushed outside of our limits a little bit to some of those open-sided buildings again.
I have one last question for myself about Congress. Brent, since you're a trainer, what would you say to an exhibitor that's going to show for the first time? And Ellexxah, what would you say to somebody who is just going to visit Congress for the first time?
So somebody coming new, and there's a lot of different levels because there are people that come without a horse trainer. And there are people there with horse trainers. Mm-hmm. So I think those that are with trainers are probably going to have a better sense, or at least be directed in what they need to do, what arena schedules are, where to ride, and that kind of. Whereas you may have somebody, it's their first time, they're not with a horse trainer, and they come in. My biggest thing and advice is don't be afraid to ask questions. Most horsemen, whether they're on our board or anybody else, are very helpful. If you see somebody, I know there's people that don't know, some new exhibitors that don't know the proper use of draw reins and things like that, which, would incur a citation. I will pull people aside and just say, hey, just so you know, we have guidelines for that. Show them how to properly use them, or here's different ways you can use them. If you don't know where all the riding areas are, you're not aware that there's work schedules in the arenas late at night. There's just a lot of different things I think that can help our exhibitors, and we make that available. Those riding schedules are available on the tracker, but new people may not know that's where you need to look for those. So like I say, if you're having trouble with anything, just reach out to one of us as directors, go to the office, the staff in there, or generally any horse trainer, I believe, with all my heart, would assist anybody that needed any help. Even if you're having trouble with your horse, I think anybody would reach out and help you. It's a very good community of people, and I think they want to see everybody succeed.
Okay, that's great. And since we lost Ellexxah temporarily, what would you say to, or what advice would you give to just a visitor? If she pops back on, we'll have her answer too.
Just the visitors, again, they vary. Some come just to see, they come the freestyle weekend time just to see all that, and to see there's lots of vending and shopping things to do. So we get a lot of variation in that. But I would say, as you go around, again, if you're having trouble finding something as somebody who's expecting, there's lots of things to do at the horse show and at the Congress. The vendors area is very large, and it's always something that most people want to spend some time in. I'm sure if they're there, they like horses, and they're probably looking for something anyway to purchase. So that's always an attraction. But take some time. You've already paid to get in, the parking pass to get you in. It's cheaper during the week. I believe it's Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. Don't quote me on that. But you can get in and watch the horse show. Just the level of competition there is so extreme. You can see some really great horses compete, and like I say, we have barn parties and stuff. So if you're there when one of those are going on, feel free to partake in one of those and just kind of get the feel of the environment. That horse show tingle that kind of hits there. It lasts for the first part of the Congress, and by the end, it's pretty much wore off with us horse trainers. So we're all ready to go home and wait for the World Show tingle to hit. So, but yeah, there's just so much there to do. And again, there's always somebody that can direct you somewhere.
I would probably say just go for the experience. A lot of people get there and they get nervous because, they see all the trophies and the jackets and everything lined up, and they start to go, oh, I don't know if I can compete with, the people that have been here before, or, maybe you just have never competed at that level. It's anybody's day. I mean, even if you go to the World Show, somebody may have never shown the horse before. They may have just bought it. They may be a new team. They're animals. They all have a mind of their own. It could be my day to day, and I might end up in the dirt the next day. You never know. It's kind of what makes the sport as it is. But for somebody visiting, it's like Disney World for horse people. There's something there for everybody. You can shop. You can any of our clinics and kind of learn about maybe some events that you're just not sure what the rules are, what they're looking for. And you don't have to be an exhibitor there to be welcomed into the group of people that are there. Everybody's always willing to answer questions, whether it's a first-time exhibitor, a seasoned exhibitor, a trainer, any of the directors. So I think my dad was right on never be afraid to ask questions, because it's an industry that I think is only getting better by people being able to share with other individuals. We didn't grow as an industry by trainers never sharing secrets with each other. And the exhibitors have kind of become the same way.
Well said.
Brent, as a trainer and then overseeing a massive horse show, the economy the way it is right now, where do you feel like our industry is currently heading?
It's incredible how passionate people are in this industry, and they seem to be very resourceful. I know just in talking to other trainers and just sales here, and saddles and equipment and things like that, the saddle makers can't keep up. And I think there's tremendous growth still. And I'm very confident on how the industry's moving forward. And I think it will, continue to be a priority in a lot of people's lives. So I'm not real concerned about it, quite honestly, because even through the COVID era, even though people cut back and couldn't go to horse shows, as soon as they were, the horse shows were strong and, kind of kicked back right off where they were. And there's just so much growth that's happening now, despite, they talk about recession and things, but there's still a lot of money moving in the industry.
Okay. Brent, if people are interested, where can they find you? Do you have social media or maybe your training page, or how would people connect with you?
I do. If they're going to be at the Congress and have any questions, my stalls are located in the Gilligan barn. Then also they can instant message me through Maxwell Show Horses, or if they have my number or somebody has my number that they know, feel free to reach out and text me. Like I say, we want to make it the best experience. I have people call me all the time, and if I can't if I don't know the answers, I definitely can get you in the right direction to help people get the answers that they need, or the assistance that they need at the time, depending on what the matter might be.
Perfect. And Alexa, if people would like to connect with you or maybe schedule some banding and braiding, how would they get a hold of you?
So anyone can reach me through my Facebook, which is just my name, Ellexxah Maxwell. I'm on Instagram. I have a TikTok. All my name. Thankfully, I was named something very weird, so it's not hard to find me. And then I'll be at the Congress from the 27th to the end, which, to be honest, I've been avoiding looking at what day it actually ends because I know I'm going to be there until then. But I'll be working at Rods, or if you have anybody that knows me or follows me on any of my social media, reach out. I'm more than welcome to give you my phone number for any questions, whether it be a rulebook question, which I know plenty about now, or just any Congress questions or really anything in general. I'm more than willing to answer anything.
Perfect. Well, it was very nice getting to chat with you both. And I know, Alexa, you're probably getting ready to go out on the trail as you are walking through the woods. So we won't hold you guys up any longer if Jenna doesn't have any more questions.
I just wanted to say good luck to you in the Queen competition, Alexa,
Yes,
and thanks
good
for
luck.
giving us your time today. And it's very fitting that you're in the middle of a trail ride as we're doing this. I love that. And thank you, Brent, as well. And good luck to you and your clients at Congress, too.
Thank you very much. If you guys need anything else from us, just reach out. We'll be more than happy to assist you.
Perfect. We appreciate that.
All right, that'll be your class. Bring them in and line them up.